The Man with the Yin-Yang Eyes. Season 3. Episode 22. Looking at the height of the wooden pole, Big D couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Initially, this abyss was already bottomless. Now having to climb up a lonely wooden pole next to the cliff, Big D's fear is understandable. But with no other choice, Big D began to speak of his plan. Accordingly, the two of us will climb to the top of this wooden pole, then try to make it fall towards the forest. According to Big D's calculations, these two columns can completely cross the edge of the cliff. From there, we will use these two wooden stakes to form two bridges to the other side of the ravine. Seeing that I was still undecided, Big D jumped on a pole and started climbing. At this moment, a series of spears continuously rushed towards us, leaving me with no choice but to do as Big D said. As I climbed up, I said to Big D, "Did you calculate something wrong? I see this pillar is only about 8 meters high at most. How can it cross the edge of the cliff?" To my question, Big D still insists that everything will be fine. Honestly, I have never seen Big D so sure, so I don't say anything more, apart from money-related things. We were soon at the top of the wooden pole, and I turned to Big D, waiting to see what he was up to next. Showing great confidence, Big D said to me, "Now we will shake this pole until it falls. But remember, how to make the pillar fall toward the edge. Otherwise, to fall back into the arena will guarantee death." We had a clear plan in place, so we immediately took action. Both of us started to sway their bodies to move the pole. At first, when the new pole swayed, it was still easy to control, until the amplitude of the oscillation becomes larger and larger, it is almost out of control. Realizing that the rope at the base of the pole was breaking, Big D and I both understood that the time had come. Both of us shrank hard to make the pillar entirely fall. At this moment, all calculations became superfluous. I completely surrendered my fate to luck. And indeed, once again, the god of fortune smiled upon us. Just as Big D had predicted, the wooden pole barely touched the other side of the ravine. But there is one thing that Big D cannot measure, which is the elastic force of the tree when it hits the ground. In an instant, we two idiots were flung into the air. Thrown by the force of the tree, the two of us were like two cannonballs, straight into the big trees on the side of the forest next to the ravine. Come to think of it, I can't help but break out in a cold sweat. Somehow we were able to splash towards the forest, instead of bouncing back and falling straight into the cliff. While falling through the dense foliage of a large tree, I tried my best to grab a branch in the hope of stopping it, but the falling speed was too great for me to do so. Not only could I not stop, but I also collided with a large tree branch. The impact was so strong that my whole body was numb, so painful that I could no longer scream. But things didn't stop there. After the collision, like heaven, I continued to have an uncomfortable grounding phase. I don't know how many men have experienced the same feeling like me right now, but I am sure that no one will want to experience it again. My whole body is like a sack of potatoes falling to the ground. All my senses at this moment are like being wholly paralyzed by pain. Tears flow uncontrollably. My only question is where Big D is, if he is luckier than me. Very quickly, I had an answer on the status of Big D. It seemed that things weren't bad enough yet, so Big D came along and finished the tragedy for me. I don't understand when he was shot towards the trees. Did Big D do anything to change the direction of the fall? But now he rushed straight to where I was lying. If it's normal, I can stand up to catch Big D, or at least I could roll to the side to dodge, but right now, I was utterly powerless. The first feeling when Big D landed on me was the excruciating pain. Every organ in my body felt like it was about to burst. The pain that had not subsided before was now multiplied. Immediately after the impact, Big D's body didn't seem to be in any pain. He immediately jumped up and checked all over his body. It wasn't until a few seconds later that Big D bent down and saw my pitiful appearance. Big D hurriedly helped me up and kept asking me if I was hurt anywhere. At this moment, although my whole body is still numb, I still smile at Big D. Indeed, we two idiots must have been extremely lucky, or else we would both have lost our lives in that horrible jump. The two talked to each other a few more sentences. Suddenly I looked ahead. The scene in front of me couldn't help but surprise me, so I called Big D. "Oh my God, look ahead. Am I dizzy seeing a tree full of orchids like that?" Also surprised by my discovery, Big D immediately turned his head to look in the direction I pointed. Neither of them told anyone, and both ran to the tree. Looking at the brightly blooming flowers clinging to the old tree trunks, I don't understand why the wizard called it orchid, because looking back and forth, I still see it as more of a kind of vine. Big D had a different opinion than me. He was so happy that he cried. Finally, after many difficulties and dangers, we have reached our destination. To be sure, Big D and I took out the map and compared the flowers in front of us with the flower drawn on the map. Of course, they are precisely the same. After the excitement passed, Big D pulled out a bag. He is the happiest person right now, and Big D eagerly tells me, "Come on, Gregory, hurry up and pick some flowers and come back. I can't wait any longer. Finish the job quickly and get out of here. We will return to America immediately once we get the lantern." Maybe the excitement has blinded Big D's thoughts. He can't think of anything but the lantern. Luckily I was still by my side, and I immediately pulled Big D back before he could approach the tree. I was about to ask a question when Big D saw me pull down my glasses, and at this point, it seems that Big D has understood the problem. From the moment I came here, I felt something was wrong. After checking with my yin-yang eyes, I got my initial impressions of this place. Around the tree were many souls of the dead. Seeing that, I immediately said to Big D, "Don't rush. Since we've come this far, we should be a little more cautious. Don't you find it strange that an important place like this is left unguarded?" My question made Big D pause. He started asking me about what I was seeing. I immediately told Big D about the ghostly scene I was seeing. Accordingly, around the old tree trunk, there are many souls of the dead surrounding. It seems that these souls are attached to the body of the orchid used as an antidote. But those are the things Big D doesn't see. I continue to show Big D the apparent things he just overlooked. That is a lot of human skeletons lying under the tree. At this time, when looking directly at the tree, Big D accepts the fact that this place is not as simple as he initially thought. Looking at a series of white skeletons lying under a tree, I cannot count how many people have died here. Although they do not know the customs of worshipping the gods of the indigenous people here, but I can be sure that these people were brought here to be sacrificed. Perhaps because of this point, Big D has always had an unfriendly attitude towards the Aboriginal people. At this moment, I suddenly had an idea. I immediately told Big D my guess. "Hey Big D, I suddenly think of the wooden poles we used to get here. I suspect that they were used to bring people in need of sacrifice here. What do you think about this?" At first, Big D also agreed with my argument, but then he doubted this hypothesis. "I don't agree. If those people are thrown here, why don't they try to run away but go near the tree to die?" Hearing what Big D just said, I also continue to defend my opinion. Of course, these people have been chosen, so they will voluntarily go to the stump. There is another possibility that something will come to catch the unfortunate people and bring them to the tree. To prove my point, I repeat what the wizard told us before we left. Have you forgotten? There is also a giant snake guarding this place. I haven't seen it since we got here, so it's likely lurking somewhere. Just a little slip, and we'll be swallowed up by it." After hearing what I just said, Big D seemed to get agitated. He pulled out his shotgun and pointed it at the tree. Seeing the gun in Big D's hand, I continued to remind him of another problem. "Come on, I think with that gun, what can I do to snakes? Before that, wasn't it pretty useless in exterminating snakes?" Seemingly ignoring what I just said, Big D continued to point the gun towards the tree and shouted, "Stupid reptile, get out here for me. If you don't come out, I will burn this tree. See if you still have a place to hide?" When I heard Big D's threats, I felt a little ridiculous. If these snakes could understand human language, I could have persuaded them not to pursue us long ago. I was about to tease Big D when I suddenly stopped. From the wind, a strong fishy smell like the smell of blood spread. Then a giant snake appeared. I don't know if it heard Big D's threats or sniffed us and showed up. All I know is that, compared to this snake, the snakes that chased after us were like immature children.